and Giants are still rising, so this is a really good point to see the two teams converge and see actually who is stronger into Champions Night now. So going to answer some of those questions. Shan and Caitlyn banned at H2k so far, and Azir and Jin aimed at Giants. I really like the Jin ban.
Yes, and this is actually really interesting because when I was on the desk yesterday with Deficio, we were discussing during Giants' game against G2, when will people start banning Jin against Sunstar? Because it seems to be one of his comfort picks, something that he consistently performs on, and something that Giants are always looking to actually prioritize. And H2k is saying, we identified that as one of your strengths. We realized that out of the lineup, Sunstar and Huston are not really the players we often talk about, so let's get them on something that they're not particularly comfortable on, and let's use Freeze and Vander to push them around and show them why we are still one of the best bots in Europe.
But that was the interesting thing, right? Because like Sunstar was not performing well on like carry ADCs, whereas on the utility ones like Sivir, Ashe, Jin, significantly better, and they're still going to get the Sivir first pick. That's still very interesting though, with a lot of high priority picks open.
So we're still seeing Giants put all that value on getting the very early AD carry. They want to make sure that Sunstar is on something that he can provide utility on. Yeah. He will still have that fantastic late game team fighting prowess that Sivir has with her W, and you just offer the engage, the disengage. The Karma is still available. I think it would be good for H2k to take that one away because the Karma Sivir is devastating, not only during the laning phase, but come the mid game, you just have so many options.
Crazy movement speed. Maybe Max will even pick up like an Olaf with that as well to speed him into the fight. So we'll see if he does do that. Now waiting for H2k and their pickups. What are we going to see out of the jungle? Nidlee's been banned, but Lee's has been very much a priority pick for Jankos. 8 games on that, and the next highest is Rek'Sai 3, so we can see where his priorities lie.
So interesting that they've actually decided to not put value on the Elise. They've decided that the Rek'Sai will offer a similar sort of early game pressure, but you actually act as that frontline tank. When you pair it up with a Braum, you're now already looking at a very solid frontline. So now Odoamne has the choice to go for something a little bit more aggressive if he wants to. He can play something like the Aurelia if he wants to, maybe the Trundle as well, which we have seen him perform on these sort of pseudo carry top lanes, the Gnar too, because he doesn't have to be that big tanky frontline on something like the Shen.
And on the opposite side, Giants almost read like a book, as you were saying, picking up the Karma as well with the Sivir for that lane and the Olaf. It's almost like a dream come true for Giants. Just have got everything they wanted.
And the flexibility that the Olaf provides is great as well, because you don't actually know where he's going to go. He fits well into the top lane, he fits well in the jungle. Hey, we saw Faker bring it out in the mid at Worlds too. So there is a huge amount of flexibility available in that one. And when you pair it up with the Sivir and the Karma, you have so many engage options too.
Yeah, I would cheer for that. Draven coming out here by Freeze as well, has been banned a bunch against him, sometimes just as like a reserve last ban for teams, but this time Freeze is going to take it to the table. Very, very good on that champion. And Victor for the mid lane. So Ryu, I was going to mention this earlier, but it feels like top, jungle, and mid all have like their go-to, and that's like Gnar, Elise, Victor, all with significantly more games on those champions than anything else for H2k. And Ryu no different. 11 games on Victor to the next highest of Rise on 4, and the next highest on 2. So he really likes that Victor pick.
I mean, it's a great pick overall. Good control, good wave clear in the mid lane. Scales very well into these team fights, enables Ryu to not only be a carry himself, but can also act very well into the Olaf, which is what I love so much about Victor, because it just comes back to the Jarvan effect that we've been discussing earlier on into the day, where Olaf does such a great job of diving onto the backline. You either have a choice of killing the Olaf or just kiting him long enough until his ultimate returns. And sometimes that can be very difficult, especially when you have a low mobility AD carry with Draven. So what you do is you plonk this gravity field, you separate the Olaf away from the rest of his team, and then you just nuke him down because the rest of his team can't follow up.
Well, I want to talk about the Zillion that just got locked in by Giants.
Well, good luck killing that Olaf now.
Yeah, and they locked in a Jax as well, so double threat. So presumably we're going to see Maxwell on that Olaf now, top lane with Smitty J on the Jax. And again, I was talking to Trevor yesterday when we were in a caster room watching the games, and he was like, it's so weird seeing Giants with a Jax in the top lane when it's not they're playing it. And it's just like, it is bizarre.
But how strange is it that we also saw so many smite steals from Maxlaw, which is exactly what their former jungler was known for.
That's true. Frederick, the Steel King.
The Steel King.
Yeah, he had a graphic made after. It was really, really cool.
So the Giants composition right now, clear setup for a 1-4. You allow the Jax in the side lane to just be putting so much pressure down. There are very few champions available that they're going to be able to deal with him because the Olaf has been taken away. And you also have like so much utility that Knight is not going to be playing a carry mid lane at this time. He is going to be on this zone control Zilean. I think he can still play that. You have plenty of damage with the Olaf, with the Jax, with the Sivir. You have that team fight presence, but Giants, they're not saying they want a team fight. They're saying, hey, look, we just want to go for this 1-4. And when you pick a Rumble actively into that, it does make me wonder, because in the early game, sure, the Rumble's going to have the advantage, but there is no way, come Trinity Force, come Spectre's Cowl, that he is going to be able to deal with that late game Jax.
No, he's going to get absolutely bodied in that 1v1. But of course, the Zilean pick will work in this composition, but it's also a pick that Knight used to pick up before he even joined the European LCS. He used to play a lot of Cassiopeia, had those highlight clips, and also on Zilean as well. I remember seeing a highlight clip and he was in the top lane and he just like bombed someone twice. Like, really, that's a highlight clip? But he does really well on that champion.
He certainly does. It's one of his go-tos. We recently saw him bringing out the Cassiopeia, and to be fair, the Zilean actually does very well into the Victor as well. We can talk more about it when we get into the actual game.
Yes, we will.
But it's really interesting to see the composition, and I am just wishing good luck to H2k because I will be amazed if they can kill that Olaf.
Yeah, I mean, of course Olaf needs to have like a decent early game if he goes 0-5 and just gets wrecked.
But he just needs to farm. We've seen Olafs get like 5.5k HP.
Last series we saw that as well. Either way, we're going to look at these compositions and use the hashtags GIA win or H2k win. Show your support on Twitter as we get into this game. Will be our first game of this series and our second series of the day with Giants and H2k. And this really will answer a lot of questions here, Vegas. Have Giants actually gotten to a point where they can challenge H2k and maybe even take the win? They've been taking names over the last couple of weeks, and we are into game onto the Rift.
Well, we're certainly going to be finding out, as we do have Giants going up against H2k in this second series of the day. We had an action-packed game one of the day. I wonder whether or not we're going to be the same. Giants and H2k have had a bit of time now to wake up. This is about, we're about 2:30. Now is about the time that both teams will be scrimming.
Breakfast.
They will should be in scrims right about now. So will this be another scrim? Or will we see some real high-level League of Legends action?
Yeah, it might be a little bit groggy. We don't know, but they've had time earlier in the day.
So let's go through
the
what we expect to see early on. Because we have to take into consideration the lane swap. Freeze and Vander are going to want to avoid the 2 versus 2 simply because the push potential from a Sivir Karma is horrible. You're constantly going to be harassed by the poke. And you're always going to be shoved under turrets, so just avoiding the standard matchup is good for them. Sminny J will struggle early on with the Rumble, because Rumble is typically known for this lane bully. We saw it earlier on with Gamsu up against the Shen. And if you can avoid it, it's great, but all Maxwell needs to do now is do exactly what Move did in our first series of the day, where he just puts a huge amount of pressure early on, get the Jax through the rough laning phase. Wouldn't be surprised to see Jax go for a bit of early magic resistance, get that then Trinity Force into the Spectre's Towel, Spirit Visage, so that he can deal with this double AP coming out from H2k.
Spectre's Towel.
Spectre's Towel. Well, I mean, it basically is a towel.
Always bring a towel.
And yeah, we are actually seeing the Warlord's Bloodlust coming out from both AD carries. So perhaps the changes to Fervor have resulted in this shift. But we have been seeing this a lot on Sivirs recently. And the crits make a lot of sense. You do get a lot of value from it, especially in these late game team fights.
So, standard lanes. What does that thumb and what does that pinky mean?
Sorry. I was going to say, we've talked a lot about the top, we've talked a lot about the bottom, but the lane that I am most familiar with, we haven't even had an opportunity to talk about. So the Zilean into Victor. Typically the thing about Victor is the moment he completes his upgraded Hex score, he just shoves that wave in permanently. But the advantage that a Zilean has is he can always shove that wave because the double bombs are super obnoxious to play against. Early on he is going to struggle because he's not going to have that double bomb available, and Victor, who can just use that Q to harass, will push him around and force him under turret early on. But once Knight reaches the couple extra levels, likely around the level 5, level 7 mark when he gets those bonus points, he'll then start matching the wave clear, and it becomes this very back and forth lane where neither laner can really look to be aggressive, because if Rhea walks up, he hits the double bomb, but then if Knight walks up, he's going to eat a Q, the Siphon Power, into then the death ray. So it becomes a very slow and boring matchup.
I see the junglers bump heads very briefly. Oh, it's going to be a fight over the Skull Crab, lads. Maxwell, he's got territory control. Look at these axes coming out, but now he's out of mana.
And he missed every single one of them.
It was just a zone him away, man. It was zoning
He's sending a message.
It is. Look at all these messages he's sending Jankos.
Why aren't you messaging me back? What the hell?
Jankos, he's still hunting. But I think Maxwell, yeah, he's got the crab now. He's got crabs for days. Yeah, I was just really confused with what you were doing before Vegas, because we use hand signals on the caster desk between casters to denote what we mean, and he was doing this kind of gang sign thing, and I was like, what does this mean? And I was like, oh, okay, so that must mean he wants to talk about mid lane. Got it. That's what that one's in the memory banks now, Vegas, so perfect.
Perfect. Glad we got that established.
Ooh, Knight. It's like a lot of burst out from Ryu. He has to double bomb will land, but I mean, okay, that was a lot more damage than I was expecting.
Level 3 to level 4. This is a bit rough for Knight, and if he's going to use all those bombs to clear waves, to harass rather than clear waves, he is going to get shoved in the turret, and that deficit's going to become bigger and bigger. But a typical build for a Zilean will usually be a lot of mana and a lot of cooldown reduction, because you're very much about getting those resets as often as you can and just spamming bomb after bomb after bomb. And so you do need a large mana pool for that. And the Rod of Ages just helps, because if you are that utility mid laner, the Rod of Ages is just naturally useful because it scales well, it gives you a bit of extra pseudo tankiness, and it just enables you to survive a little bit longer in these team fights. And so you then don't require peel, because that's not typically what you want as a support mid laner. Yeah. You want to be the one providing the support, not the one needing it.
There's also a lot of people in this game on Giant's side who he can lend his support to. Severe late game is going to be mental, jungle and top lane can all go off, so it just needs a spark in one of those champions to really get them rolling in this game. Jankos trying to steal some stuff away from Maxwell's jungle. He's very angry about that, and take away this pink ward in vengeance. And went for the Sightstone early as well, so trying to get that early control. Meanwhile, Jankos went for the Stalker's Blade, so looking maybe for some more ganks, more trading. And top lane still just going toe-to-toe. Equal farm so far. As expected, Draven just being shoved into tower constantly by this lane.
And quite interesting to see Maxwell actually go for a very early Sightstone as Sunstar getting exhausted.
Interesting. Well, Freeze is going to hit the stand aside, and Hudson's going to walk it off. That was, yeah, that was interesting.
So the thing you have to be mindful of with the Draven and Brawl matchup is the risk of the all-in. And it looked like that's what they were going to go for, because Sunstar low on mana, Huston low on mana. They wanted to try and get the collapse down, but the coordination just seemed a little bit off. Sunstar immediately using his shield to block the Q coming out from Vander meant that the exhaust couldn't really properly be followed up on. But Maxwell going for a bit of counter jungling, needs to be mindful of the Draven collapse.
Get off my lawn, Max Law. He's going to follow up in this 1v1. Jankos is not winning, but Ryu's going to turn up and first burn the aftershock damage. Jankos, he's got the bomb on top of him. Is that enough damage? He's so low, but he survives. Freeze now chasing down Knight in the mid lane. He will manage to get out 1-0.
Big mistake from Max Law. He believed that he could come out ahead in this 1v1. He thought that he had the support from Knight, but he didn't respect the possibility as
Knight's
Knight,
level 6.
Ooh, the health pot just barely keeping him alive.
We'll back and see
He's going to lose a lot of farm and experience for that play. And 4 HP.
Yeah.
Wow. So health pot's OP, man. But you have the teleport, so he's not going to lose that much for it. But yeah, I mean, Maxwell felt that he had the support from Knight, which would have been enough to keep him alive. But unfortunately, it was just the collapse from Draven that really screwed him over, as well as Ryu just coming back to lane, having just board as well. Very unfortunate for Maxwell, so he needs to be mindful of his over-aggression. He can't be too risky in this early game, as Smitty J going way too aggressive.
But Odawame will lay down the red carpet. Odawame trying to get away from this one. Smitty J wants the kill in return, but he's slowed down and taken out by the turret. Kill credit to Odawame.
A little bit too aggressive from Smitty J as well. He definitely knew he had the damage to get the kill down onto Odawame, but because Jankos was reading Smitty J like a book, he was there to provide the support. And even though Odawame missed his ultimate, they were still able to get the kill. So now 2-0 in favor of H2k, having a good early game. But Freeze, he is by himself. Giants could potentially go for a dive as Sunstar is level 6. Bit of a risk though.
It is, but getting those stacks off of Freeze would be nice. That was a cool shield in there from Hustling to deny the cannon minion from Freeze. Creative use of his E, and Vander comes back into the top lane. Looking for that level 6, of course. Sunstar already has it on the hunt if he wants to go up there for a gank, but junglers content to farm their own jungles for now as the second waves of buffs is spawning. Knight has gone for the blasting ones in the mid lane, so what do you think he'll be building this?
Rod of Ages.
Okay.
Almost certainly.
All right, let's look at someone else. Odawame, yeah, we know he's going to go Proto Belt, already has the makings of that. Freeze as well, most likely going to go for the pen build that we see very much on Draven.
I mean, the most interesting build out of all of this is the very early Sightstone that we mentioned earlier from Maxlor. He hasn't even gone for his jungle item. He just wants to control vision. We heard Crapo talking about it on the desk where Maxlor last week was in a position where he could have snowballed his own jungle, but he actually valued getting vision down over snowballing himself. And you can see once more that's exactly what he's doing. He's using the Sightstone to get deep vision down, to read where Jankos is, so that he can predict all of these early ganks that Jankos likes to set up. And unfortunately, for the side of Giants, Maxlor wasn't able to get the vision early enough to help protect Smitty J. And I feel like that was just a bit of an oversight from Smitty, who is so used to having this vision, is so used to being able to relay where Jankos is on the map, that he went aggressive because he felt like he was safe, and then just didn't expect the collapse.
Unfortunately, can only do so much with that vision. And Maxwell was giving a lot of credit to Jankos as a strong early jungler. And Jankos very much the king of First Bloods, assisting in both those kills so far. The reign continues. And H2k quite happy with the small gold lead, but hasn't accumulated into any objectives just yet. First Dragon is Mountain, so these teams will want to go for that fairly early. Jankos is going to find Maxwell in the jungle, and even though he got those 2 assists, it's still Rek'Sai versus Olaf, so Olaf wins. And Maxwell, oh, he's still trying to steal this one away. Ward over the wall, but Knight shouldn't be too bad. Sometimes it is easy to steal away buffs from a Zilean because you have to wait for the tick on the bomb.
And he almost got the steal there because
he's on 20, like,
Knight,
6 HP.
Knight had to get it with a basic attack, so could have been close. But fortunately, Knight will secure that for himself. And now we're in a bit of a lull because both teams are already relying on scaling. Freeze on this Draven, while he definitely has some early power because you get those empowered auto attacks from your Q, you still need at least one item to have an impact. I imagine he's going to go for the early Ghost Blade, so you hit that early game spike, and at that point H2k could look to force something because Ryu, if he wants, just upgrading his Hex Core early will give him a lot of early game damage, which means that come the 15-minute mark, H2k could try and force stuff if they want, especially with a Proto Belt done now for Odawame. And Giants, without the things like the Trinity Force, without even a BF item completed for Sonstar, they're going to just have to concede these objectives. So I wouldn't be surprised to see the first Drake of the game go over to H2k simply because Giants do require a little bit more scaling before they can really look to force anything.
A little bit of time, but also important to get those stacks off Freeze because he's already up to 250, so he's going to get a nice cash in if he gets a kill. Needs to be careful. And in terms of farm differential, not a big one in the lanes. Jankos is looking for a gank, but he has been pinged out by Giants, so they know what's up. Ryu is still pushing down the mid lane, and we're still just edging towards potential dragon take. See, Maxor is invading while they knew Jankos was on the top side. Think about recalling, he's low on mana, and with dragon up, we'll see if H2k do converge around that area to take it at some point. But currently, lanes are farming Vedius, and that's pretty much the game state. You can see Ryu gone back, pick up a quick item. Going to be Lost Chapter and not Charles.
So let's just think about how these fights are going to play out, right? Because obviously Giants' win condition here is to set up the 1-4. The Jax doesn't want to be joining team fights. If we recall back to Origin versus Splice, if you try and use a Jax in a team fight, it doesn't go as well as you would like. Definitely if he comes in late or comes in from a flank and is just able to one-shot the backline, then he definitely has his uses. But typically his strength is in his ability to split push. And Giants, with this Sivir, with this Karma, have many opportunities to just constantly disengage if H2k try and force anything. But H2k definitely want to force something because they have the Victor, they have the Draven, very good at forcing fights, very good in team fights. When you combine that with the Rumble ult, who has so much control with his ultimate, and we're seeing this Braum Rumble synergy again, where you can land the Glacial Fissure onto the Rumble ult too, means that playing around objectives is exactly what H2k want to try and force. And so it's going to be a matter of, are Giants going to fall for the trap of H2k? Or are H2k just going to have no real option? Are they going to wait too long to try and force anything? And it's eventually going to get to a point where no one can deal with the split push in Smitty J, and they'll gradually lose their base after that.
I try gank on the mid lane with Jankos, but luckily Huston was also there for the movement speed. I think Knight would have been on his way out regardless of the extra movement speed from his own kit.
It's a good thing there's no Cloud Drake here, because we couldn't even follow them if that was the case.
That's true. Odawame, instant flash away, did not want to be hit by the Counter-Strike, but Maxwell is still following after, forcing the Equalizer down from Odawame. The rest of H2k is coming into the bot lane, but I believe they've been seen out by Giants, who are going to back off to their tower. There'd be no other reason for Odoamne to be so aggressive in this 1-on-2 otherwise. And Jankos will show his face. Now they have a couple people down here, but aren't turning towards the dragon just yet. 13 minutes in, no one has touched the mountain dragon.
Well, just look at the deep vision coming out from H2k right now. They could be looking for a potential dive, but they have to be wary of the fact that Maxlor is still in the vicinity. They could just look to try and force this turret only at 50%. No, they're going for the dive.
They are. TP comes in, and TP stopped.
Oh, I think that's risky. It's just going to give away the turret to H2k, and there's going to be no answer. Or as I say that, look at the members of Giants immediately rotating around to the mid. They know that Ryu isn't there. His ghost is down. He's not going to be able to rejoin, so Giants replicating the pressure at a different part of the map is going to disengage the siege. And now Maxlor, he's going on to Odo.
Coming in from the front door, Odoamne is going to go and try and pick up the kill. He overheats, but the kill out from Jankos. Furious bite. Odoamne survives 2-0 in that trade.
Clutch jump in from Jankos to turn that fight around. Maxlor, he didn't have the mana. Smitty J, he didn't really have the HP. And they should have been mindful. It was too greedy once again from the side of Giants. And now we have a bit of a fight happening in the top.
Winter's Bite didn't land on the Hustling. He's going to back down the river. Top lane, Sunstar still going to carry on farming. He's good for now. Equal farm in the top lane. But H2k constantly winning out in these trades as well. And that's really where you expect Giants to be excelling, whereas H2k generally play the map, but just straight up outplays in those 2v2s.
Certainly was. Really impressive stuff. It was almost like Odo was baiting it, basically saying, hey, why you wanna fight? Just being like, hey, I'm by myself, you know. Nonchalantly, and there he is in the 1 versus 2. It looks like they're going to be able to get the kill, but Smitty J, he doesn't have the initial health for that fight, and then on top of that, Maxlor doesn't really have the mana to keep spamming out those undertows. So unfortunately for the Giants duo, they do fall at the hands of Jankos and Odo. And so far, early game going very well for H2k, especially for this Rumble. I mean, level 11 right now. Proto bout completed, Horning Guy's done too. Couldn't be happier if you're H2k. Still haven't taken the first dragon of the game, but there's no way at this point the Giants are going to be able to contest it. And that Rumble will be the big scary point moving forward because, I mean, he's just so powerful. Level 11 is where he hits a big spike because he gets the level 2 in his ultimate.
Welcome to another episode of Pulse's Fun Facts. Odoamne, they survived on 1 HP.
No.
Yes, I can actually show you on the replay if you want. 1 HP. We had a 4 HP Knight escape.
So you're telling me his base HP saved his life?
Yeah.
His base HP regen saved
Correct.
his life?
1 HP. That is absurd.
Unlucky.
Yeah, pretty much unlucky. But
like
had both of those kills gone through, it still would have been 1-1 anyway. So
that's like when the Pokeball shakes 3 times.
Yeah.
And then it opens.
And
anyway.
are you kidding me? Like, yeah, it's the worst. But that's basically this game so far. How many more will we get? We'll have to find out. Find out next time on Giants H2k. Mid lane, Predabot comes in, Odoamne tries to zone him away, but he has tower aggro. This is not good at all for the Rumble, and he has no flash. The rest of the team has to bail out.
Massive props to Knight there, getting the double bomb down to stun so many members of H2k, and that just leaves Odoamne out to dry. The flank initially looks very promising, but just really impressive Zillion there from Knight, because that did turn the fight in Giants' favor. They get themselves their first kill on the board. And this is exactly what they needed. They need H2k to try and be over-aggressive. We know that H2k want to try and force these fights. They have a good team fight composition. And fortunately, Giants were able to turn it around. So impressive stuff coming out from them.
Nice to see. But, I mean, one of the big things was Odoamne taking the tower there. Unfortunately, was not onto Jankos as someone who could easily escape that situation. H2k still with the lead. And Jankos zoning away from the top tower. Freeze will be able to hit this tower, but there's no mini wave, unfortunately. So even with 3 people up there, they weren't able to really get a good siege down. 17 minutes in. Wow, Duskblade of Drakvar is going to be the first item from Freeze. All right, cool. Yeah, foregoing the Ghostblade as the first item.
I mean, it still makes sense because it gives you the early armor penetration. It gives you a lot of flat AD, which is exactly what a Draven wants. It reminds you back of when Draven used to go for the early Bloodthirster, just because you want as much AD as possible. But I mean, it's still nice. The only thing that you lack is the cooldown reduction. And I mean, on Draven, that's not even that bad. You even gain movement speed from the ability. So I do quite like it as a first item. And we'll have to see. I imagine he will go for something like the Ghostblade next. We'll have to see. Given the nerfs, it seems like Freeze doesn't put as much value on it anymore.
Top tower will finally go down to H2k. Sunstar, oh, yep, okay. Knight comes into the top lane just to try and defend. Maxwell was there as well, but wasn't able to make that happen. So H2k, 3 towers now, taking all of the outer towers. Freezer's almost up to 500 stacks. And when Dravens have a lot of stacks, it makes me incredibly nervous. It's just like you're walking down like a dark alley at night with like wads of cash in your pockets, and it's like, just makes me very anxious.
Wait, for the Draven or?
Yeah, for the Draven.
Oh, because you don't want him to lose all those stacks?
Exactly.
Ah, I see.
That's a lot of gold to lose.
That's fair.
That's a lot of gold. That's like 500 gold.
It's like going into the wilderness with your Abyssal Whip, you know? It's not something you can really afford to do.
Yep. I don't like it. He needs to get a kill. Or at the very least, if he dies, then I won't feel as bad anymore, because then it's like at least that moment of anxiety is over.
Yeah, I mean, how satisfying would it be to walk into the wilderness, to then find an opponent in full barrows, having a gold sword too, just killing them with your Abbey Whip. It's exactly the same principle.
I have absolutely no idea what you're saying, but I agree. Yeah.
You didn't play RuneScape?
No.
Wow, you missed out on a childhood.
Yeah, apparently I did. It just never appealed to me. Giants are all grouped up. What's the collective term for giants?
Whoa,
That's
just
what I
hang on a
want to know
second. Look
now.
at the collective. God damn it. Look at the potential flank. They're immediately going to disengage. Move instantly straight to the dragon.
A mountain of giants, perhaps? Such as the mountain dragon here for H2k, which will be a free take. As you said earlier, fantastic prediction videos.
Cheers, mate.
No problem. It's H2k. Easy first dragon. 19 minutes in, though. It's so rare we see like a 19-minute first dragon take when it's mountain dragon. I would expect that from a Cloud Dragon, but not from you, Mountain Dragon. Odoamne, here's the ultimate. Will it be enough to save him? The damage onto Maxor is huge, but he does have the ultimate from Knight on top of him. He actually does want to die here from Ryu, helping him out. Good guy Ryu will actually give him more health back before he's able to back off.
Really like the aggression from Maxor because he knew that he had the ultimate available. And Sunstar getting collapsed on.
Oh no. Yankos didn't quite catch him. Hustlin will be caught by the Glacial Fissure. Ryu's trying to follow up. He does have Flash. Doesn't even need it to get in range of the Death Laser for another kill. 2-0-0 in this game. Smitty J in his natural habitat, split pushing top lane. Bottom lane, however, TP now coming in from Knight to try and defend. Freeze is hammering away at this tower. But he is backed up by Vander. Both of them sidestepping the double bomb coming in. And he also has Yankos there to protect. So H2k's push has been stymied temporarily.
So a lot of little things happened all across the map. Maxor was able to catch Odoamne out, and this was huge for Smitty J because he was able to free farm in the top, and there was no one to soak up that massive minion wave that he was able to accrue, and he was able to then take that tier 1 turret down in the top lane, which enabled him to equalize the level advantage, pick himself up some items. Notice now he's got the Trinity Force and is working towards the Spirit's Visage, which will be absolutely huge for the 1v1 moving forward. Meanwhile, in the mid lane, Sunstar and Hustlin were playing a little bit too aggressive. They did not respect the potential flank coming out from Yankos, and while they couldn't get the kill done onto Sunstar, they are able to pick up another kill onto Ryu and shut down Hustlin. And that enabled Freeze to just keep pushing down in the bottom half of the map, where he was able to pick up a bit of extra CS2. He's now completed his Ghost Blade, and so we're seeing where the priorities are coming in for H2k. They're punishing the bottom lane of Giants, whereas Giants, they're trying to stymie the lead that Odoamne was able to build himself up.
Stymie is a good word.
I don't really know what it means, but it sounds good.
H2k are pushing up here. Gonna take some bombs. There's a moment where you do not want to run back to your team, Vander. There you go. Or damage the crab as well. And got this 1v1. Eventually, Smitty J will get you, Odoamne, but it is not this day. Once he's got 2 or 3 items and he's got more magic resist, which he is building, looking towards that Spirit Visage, he will get you, and then you have to watch out. He's already on 2 items himself, Odoamne, with the Spirit Visage and a Proto Belt. But
early Leandri,
gotta be careful. Yeah, we see that a decent amount. Saw that last series as well, went for Leandri's.
Look at the mid
lane. Ryu has been caught out by Maxor, just running full force at him. Has a bomb on top of him as well.
Gotta go.
He's going to be backing away. Knight popped the ultimate on himself, so he's got none left for Maxor. He's going to flash away just in case. So he goes over. Hustlin took it to the face, and it ran out of steam before it hit Knight. Whirling Death was so close. It was on track, though.
All that gold was in Freeze's eyes.
It was, no.
He was just like, I'm going to get banked. But it doesn't matter because they can still make bank off the back of this Baron. Remember, Maxor, he doesn't have Ghost, he doesn't have his ultimate. Knight doesn't have ultimate. Smitty J,
he's fighting the support on the backside, but Maxor is completely by himself. Come on, Rio, that should have gone to Freeze. Another kill to H2k. They still have control over Baron area, and Giants will have to back up.
They're not going to take the risk. I feel like they could have gone for a clean execution of that, but it's still 23 minutes in. As Jankos now trying to get the collapse onto Knight, but he is way too quick for you. He's got his Nikes on, and he's just going to dash
Gotta go
out
fast.
of there.
He's away.
He's got a soar like an eagle.
Who, Knight?
Well, all of them.
Oh, okay, yeah. They need
Soar
to fly.
like an eagle. I'm sure that's a song somewhere.
Probably.
I can feel Sifa cringing right now because I've got the lyrics of another song wrong.
He only knows rap songs, not like real songs. So that's gonna trigger him. That's actually gonna do it. There we go. We did it. I know he's listening. He's doing an interview, I think. But H2k, just getting everything. Like they can go for anything and just like bait out Giants. Like just going for Baron is still gonna be a good play. He's fine. He's fine. Yeah. Freeze. So up to 600 stacks. My anxiety is intensifying in this game. But he's pretty well built even without that. He's got the Dust Blade and the Ghost Blade. He has many blades. He just needs all the blades. He's in pretty good shape. When he cashes that in, he's going to be the richest Draven that ever was.
See, when you said he's well built and in good shape, I'm just like, you checking out Freeze? You've been going to the gym?
Yeah.
Is it?
Yeah. Looking pretty buff. He's been cutting recently. Yeah, looking good. But 2 and 6 currently. Not a lot of kills, but more objective focus is what we expect from an H2k, or what we used to expect from H2k. Recently, their games have been really messy, like really messy. Even yesterday against Schalke, it was just kills back and forth, and the Nexus surviving on 45 HP. Maybe it's an H2k thing. Them just being in the game forces people to be on incredibly low amounts of HP.
Well, speaking of HP, wanted to have a look at Max Laws because he is sitting at 3,000 right now, 25 minutes into the game. As the Baron's HP now down to about a half, they should be able to just pick this one up.
This is going down so fast. Here comes the TP, but I think it might be late in from Smitty. Here comes the fight from H2k. Odawame, perfect usage of the equalizer. Knight and Sunstar just can't even get into the fight. Vander goes down, triple bomb in from Knight. Will it be the turning point? The first drop onto Odawame, second onto Vander. Sunstar trying to get in range. Smitty JJ jumps onto Ryu. The shutdown for Sunstar. The chase after Jankos as well. And all off the back of Knight. This has gone Giants' way. Jankos, tick, tick.
Boom! Excellent stuff coming out from Giants, and it was all off the back of Knight, who was able to get himself the 3-man stun. Really impressive stuff coming out from Giants. They're going to turn this Baron around in their favor, and wow, Poles, who would have thought that Giants could turn that one?
Now that is a highlight play worth showing time and time again for Knight. I was not impressed by the last one, but that was sick. Set up that fight perfectly for the Giants, and this game may swing on that one play, picking up all of those kills and picking up the Baron as well. Giants, the goal lead is almost nothing anymore.
Observers, get us a replay, because we need one right now, and here it is. Thank you, guys. So let's have a look at how this all set up. They're in a choke point. This is fantastic for the Rumble. He lays it off. He cuts Maxwell off from the rest of his team. He gets dropped immediately. Knight can't ult him. Smitty J now takes on the role in the front line, and look at that double bomb. Fantastic. 3 members get stunned up. That buys plenty of time for Giants to reposition, reevaluate their situation, and Smitty J just goes to town. This is how you make a team fight Jax work, and then it's just a matter of time as Jankos see his life fade before his very eyes, and Giants get themselves the 4-for-1, they get themselves the Baron, and now they're still behind in gold.
Yes, they are, but they should be catching up with this Baron power play. I think the biggest thing for me from that fight was that Freeze survived. That almost gave me a heart attack, but he has almost 700 stacks now. Look at the damage that Smitty did in that fight, and also Knight. It was really on those two players. I was like, honestly, coming into that fight, I just thought Smitty J was too late. H2k were on the Baron, it was so low, they turned to fight, they made that call.
Maxwell dropped instantly with no Knight support. I mean, yeah. I thought that was it. But, oh man, Knight.
The Knight, hero that we need. Turning up in this game, 27 minutes. And Ocean Dragon is live. Giants will easily take this one away. Not as useful as Infernal or Mountain at this point, but they'll still be happy to take it.
So now the question is, how do Giants close out the game? Because they have a lead. They definitely have the momentum swinging in their favor. They're in a prime position to set up the 4-1, but they just want to fight.
Oh my god, Smitty J's just going to go in there, and Ryu gets obliterated. Vander's going to go down as well and meet the same fate. is still going. Freeze, he's going to try and pick up the kill, but Smitty's on top of him. No, the stacks. Smitty J shuts him down. He's on a rampage, and he comes back up. Knight was there in time, and he didn't even die. 3 for nothing.
Oh my word, Giants. They could set the 4-1 up, but they don't need to because they have Knight providing the support that allows Smitty J and Maxwell to just go to town. That is unbelievable. The momentum has swung so heavily in their favor. They've got a 4K gold lead. They're going to take 3 towers in the mid lane. They might even get an inhibitor too.
They're on top of it. I don't think there's anything that H2k can do at all. Jankos and Van are coming in here. The AoE speed up out from Hustler, and they are away. Knight was even taking the bottom lane.
Oh my word. Giants have just gotten so much momentum off the back of this. And I cannot praise Knight enough. His plays with the Zillion were just unbelievable. Look, he throws 2 bombs onto Smitty J, which just means that there is so much damage following him up when he dives onto the backline. He sees Freeze, but he knows he's going to get revived. He gets the ultimate, then he's like, okay, I'm good. I'm going to get all my health back because this is a full AP Zillion. Maxwell tanks the turret up long enough. And just perfect execution. Giants knowing exactly how to make use of it. I said Knight couldn't carry on this champion, but I was dead wrong.
I'm happy it's a bit wrong as well. And is this Knight's final form? He is now the Dark Knight, the hero that Giants need?
I mean, I'd be terrified if he has another level. Because this is one impressive player. I mean, I'm going to have to take a bit of a highlight. I said at the start of the split, Knight is the player we need to watch out for. He could be the guy that turns it around for Giants, because there was I mean, we were hyped for him. We remember the Cassiopeia play we saw, and have a look at this. Another fight being set up by H2k.
Husson's been chased down, but he's buying a lot of time regardless. Ryu is going so deep for this 1 kill, and he will be protected by Knight. The Chrono Shift is good. Maxwell will chase after Sunstar as well. Activates the ultimate. Double bomb once again with a lockdown. Vanda, he's eating up a lot of damage, but will finally bite the dust. Smitty J jumping after Freeze. He'll survive temporarily while Jankos are being chased down, and H2k have been scattered while they will all go down. 3 fast kills to Giants, and Ryu and Freeze will both go back to base, but there's super minions knocking on the front door.
And look at Giants. They want to try and close this one out right now. Only Ryu is alive. Only Freeze is alive. They have plenty of wave clear, but I think Giants have done it. They're looking to close out this game.
2 carries against the Worlds and make that 1 as Ryu will go down. Freeze is trying to survive, but Smitty just does so much damage. Giants with a 5-0, and the game 1 goes over to Giants.
You can see the joy on Knight's face after what was an incredible performance.
You can lock that in as my player of the game. Knight, such fantastic play. 100% kill participation, 4-0-10. Incredible play from Giants.
We need a play of the game right now.
Yes,
because that was so good. So many great plays coming out from Knight.
Glorious.
Just an outstanding performance. He had the highest damage on his team.
I was just going to say, very rare you see like a Zillion doing that much damage, but only...
Okay, this is how you make a team fight Jax work. You make him unkillable. I thought it was going to be the Olaf on the front lines, but no, they could not shut down the Jax at all.
But that was the great thing about the composition, right? Like, you can get the Jax running, you can get the Olaf running, or even the Sivir, and you always have someone to revive.
You could never run away from that Jax either, because low mobility Draven with a Sivir, a Karma, a Zillion, just like, you were literally flying like an eagle. There was nothing to stop you from just rampaging onto the enemy team and just doing so much colossal damage.
Yeah.
Really exciting game. That was a lot of. We had a slow start, but the moment Giants got that lead, they just did not let it up.
I think we have some answers to what we were saying at the pre-game. Are Giants on the same level as H2k? Well, judging from that one, apparently above in terms of level against
Top 4.
H2k.
I'm still confident.
The prediction is looking like the prophecy is going to ring true here, Vedius.
I know in the points right now, even if Giants get the 2-0, they'd still be behind H2k right now. But the fact that they've already taken a game off of G2, they've taken a game now off of H2k. And if we remember, back in the start of the LCS, we said, let's not forget that these guys have had the roughest start to the LCS because they've had the top 3 teams in Europe. They're now playing against the top 3 teams again, and they have been phenomenal.
I couldn't agree more, Vedius. But with Giants taking that first game over H2k, we're going to let Shox and the boys take a close look at how it happened.
Yeah, H2, what? It didn't work out for them in that one, even though they started off fantastically. And we had our eyes on Maxlor versus Jankos. And early game, it was a lot of Jankos trying to make things happen, as he usually does.
Yeah, I mean, we can just delve straight into the early game. First replay package, it's Maxwell actually on an invade going too hard, trying to stop Jankos. And this is like, Maxwell is winning this duel, but he's not realizing that freeze collapses. And look at him, he's going to walk straight into Ryu here. And now, obviously, Maxwell behind. Maxwell also sidestone rushing. Jankos goes underground, regen some HP, and guess what? He barely survives there. And then the follow-up gank is Jankos getting Smitty J down. And suddenly, H2k are set up for success.
Set up for success, and Maxlor at this point not even on that half of the map, so wasn't in position for any kind of counter gank, and Smitty J kind of tries to make what he can of it.
Thought
not
he would
quite.
get the lead, but
Not quite enough. And then again, it just kind of continues throughout the game. Maxwell tries to go in, the Jankos is here.
Yeah, just on slivers of health again. Look, Odoama survives here on just maybe like, what, 10, 20, 30 HP, similar to the way Jankos survived on that first fight. And at this point, there was complete control of the map. I think after this kill, it was Jankos 2-0 in 2. So definitely dominating, combined with the fact that Maxwell on this kind of carry pick OF still rushed Sidestone. Like he didn't go for his jungle item, went Sidestone first and then started completing it. But then in the mid game, I was incredibly impressed by how cohesive Giants played as a unit. For a team that looked so fragmented in the early start of the split here, no communication, no teamwork, they were moving as a unit, and the centerpiece of all that play was Knight.
And that's one of the biggest strengths they've had in these victories. I think perhaps saying that they're above and beyond where H2k were, as the casters were talking about at the end, is maybe overstating it a bit. Looking at the early game, I still think Giants are difficult to deal with when they do have these comps they can group on. And we highlighted that, or that was highlighted around the Baron, that eventually turned the game around for themselves. Good double stun. And as we look at that replay, it is a really good setup from Knight. But being able to keep Smitty J alive in these scenarios is key to it.
Yeah, I mean, Giants as a team, they play with the awareness that their first target will get revived, so whoever goes in just buys so much time. Now, ironically, it didn't get revived right there. It probably wasn't cooldown, but the double bombs zoning on some of these guys rushing in, it's just such a good combo because Sunstar is getting so much space created for him. But if we go back to actually how these plays went to be, we have to criticize H2k because they're falling for one of their weak points of Spring Split 2 and even farther along in the past as an organization. They've notoriously always been really bad around Barons. Like, they just haven't figured out the step-by-step process, it feels for me, and like their Baron baits are lackluster, especially if you play against a comp that is tailored or gated around just jerking you and then putting like 2 bombs on you. The fact that it was repetitively allowed to happen means H2k made a mistake with the lead that they had.
Does that fit into the kind of bigger picture that we're seeing from H2k? We said in the mid game, in general, they are not doing as much, so they also don't make the plays to set up the vision to then get to those objectives?
Yeah. Definitely, because if you look at stylistically, I mean, not every team plays the same way every game because picks influence it. But if you look at H2k and the stats back it up very often too, like they play an incredibly dense mid-game. They're just always grouped, which means they lose sideway farm. But this composition from Giants is actually super good against it. You know, you have Olaf and Jax just storming in. Whoever gets hit gets revived. And if you stop to maybe challenge them and fight them, you'll need to stop moving. Guess what? You're going to eat a double bomb. And then the AoE stun from Knight turns these fights around.
Yeah, and Knight is also our player of the game in this one. As said, Reddy's of course had his eye on him, and a lot of us looked what he would be able to prove within Giants, and a lot it seems.
I think the biggest comparison for me here is when we look at Ryu's game on Zilean, which is one of Ryu's worst. Okay, it's not quite the same composition, but the end result is the same. Knight revives were on the right person, double bombs were landing when they needed it to in the later parts of the game, so really good performance.
Yeah, even just small instances like Ryu's trying to like kill the enemy Karma, and then he runs into Hustlin making maximum use of Mantra W, then Flash, keeping himself up, another shield, then Revive comes in. You know, these guys are like, they're playing to their limits, not like rushing into the Revive too soon, then people are circling around, like there's aggressive flashes on Freeze. Freeze is continuously challenged in these fights. He went up to like a crazy amount of stacks and couldn't get them off, and despite having such a large early game lead, Giants' vision-based jungling style seems to really help them get through the early to mid-game. Like, Maxlor is continuously opting for vision over farm, vision over power, but as a team, Giants is using that.
One other newbie question maybe to cut out. They have a Jax. Obviously, in my mind, I think he's going to have to split push, but it was all team fights in the end, so how did that come about?
Jax doesn't teamfight usually very well because it kind of needs to surprise one target and like people can step out of the stun, but the Zillion speed up on him plus the Sivir ulti just makes him like a missile, and if he ever stops, like he always had one bomb on him, like he was the bomb delivery system, and yeah, it just worked. Mobility creep is really important to enable some of these picks.
Well, yeah, smart composition and coming out of Giants, and in the end, the win over H2k. And over on EU LCS 1, G2 took a very quick first game over Roccat, with Trick earning another player of the game. There he goes.
Surprise, surprise. Trick is player of the game. But there was a little surprise, perhaps, because when we look early, it was Roccat actually picking up the first kill in this game. And you'd say, hey, okay, Roccat, maybe a good start to the game. Maybe it's enough. It was the only kill for a very long time in this game. Only a couple of towers going down as well. But this fight in the top lane really turned it around for G2, and from there they never really let up. It was kind of as you would expect, going from their perks on this rise. Finally had a few kills. They got Shen, so again they can play multiple side lanes, plus the fact they've got an Ashe to engage for them makes this a fairly difficult composition to deal with when ahead, even though Betsy got the Vlad.
Yeah, and they completely changed tune from like the game 1 yesterday, you know, where they had the massive Protect the Sven comp with like Nunu built in. Tom Kench is like, no, Sven, right now you're playing utility carry. We'll give you a Shen anyways, but you're playing utility carry. Everybody and their mom was bringing CC to the table on the side of G2. It allows you to play an easier gameplay, especially against such a disjointed opponent like Roccat.
Yeah, Roccat, unfortunately. So G2 and Roccat have just loaded onto the Rift for their second game. You can check that out on EU LCS 1. But here over in the studio in EU LCS 2, Giants turned it on H2k, and we'll see if they continue that streak and bring it home for 3 points in the next game. Don't go anywhere.